This heart of a lion, this soul of a titan. You won't break me, you won't break me. This force, you can't fight it. This thunder and lightning. You won't break me, you won't break me.
For the fourth edition in succession, the Volvo Ocean Race is in China. For 2017-18, the fleet is enjoying the hospitality of Guangzhou, one of China's oldest and largest cities, with history going back more than 2,000 years, when it was a major trading port on the maritime Silk Road. Known historically as Canton and nicknamed the City of Flowers, it's also one of the world's most populated and energetic cities. Today's import race takes place out of Nansha Marina on the Pearl River, a confluence of four rivers that snake across southeast China. Its name comes from the pearl-coloured shells that lie at the bottom of the river. The race village of Nansha Marina has drawn Chinese fans all week long, keen to connect with the race and in particular to meet China's ocean racing stars competing aboard hometown heroes Dongfeng Race Team. The Volvo Ocean Race has a long relationship with China. Including the current edition, 4 teams have represented the country over the past 10 years, and 5 stopovers spread across 4 cities has helped to put the sport of sailing on the map and made the Volvo Ocean Race a fixture on the Chinese sporting calendar. It all started with the 2008-09 race, when Ian Walker's Green Dragon became the first Chinese-backed team.
The Dragon's going to China.
They enjoyed hometown support from the first ever Chinese stopover in the Olympic sailing venue of Qingdao. For the 2011-12 race, the Hainan island city of Sanya became the title partner of Mike Sanderson's team and the second Chinese city to host a Volvo Ocean Race stopover. Conditions were ideal for racing during the Sanya import race, showcasing the city as a water sports destination. The 2014-15 race saw the debut of Dongfeng Race Team, with skipper Charles Caudrelier committed to a development program for local Chinese sailors. 3 young rookies joined the team, and they turned out to be a surprise package as they took victory on leg 3, sailing into their home stopover of Sanya to a hero's welcome.
Winning in China, that was a fantastic moment. It was very good for the Dongfeng, but it was also very good for the team, and it was a lot of emotion, and we were very proud for the Chinese guy to arrive first in China, and I'm for sure that was one of the big successes.
Dongfeng Race Team returned for the 2017-18 edition, with more experience and more confidence, and as one of the firm favourites. They include the same Chinese nationals that raced with the team in the previous edition. The French skipper has victory in his sights, which would be an incredible first in the history of China and the Volvo Ocean Race. With stops in Hong Kong and Guangzhou, more Chinese fans than ever will get to cheer on their team up close in offshore racing's greatest prize. Dongfeng Race Team were considered underdogs when they made their debut in 2014-15. Turning out a team comprised of seasoned French offshore sailors and rookie Chinese nationals. Something clicked. The French and Chinese team members quickly became a major threat, vying for the lead halfway through the race, finally finishing 3rd overall, a podium in their maiden outing. An impressive debut.
Our objective was to, in 2013, 14 and 15, to develop and to find some Chinese sailors. We had about 100 of them. Went down to 6 at the end, who sailed with us around the world, and then after that, the second campaign, this one, we are trying to fine-tuning the same sailors, and next time we hope to put like 100% Chinese sailors.
Yeah, Dongfeng Race Team is a start of, I hope, is a start of something big. It will be the team will inspire a lot of young sailors, a lot of young guys.
What is your dream?
To join Volvo Ocean
race and to represent China, like as a team.
And I think we were lucky to find a guy like Horace, for example, who tried to develop his sailing school in China. And I think it's really important. China is so big that we need someone to inspire.
In the future, you want to join the race with us, with me?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Today's big day is a race for us, and also all the students, they come here to support the Dongfeng and support me. All the students, they all sell the optimists, so they are small boat. They also have lots of very fun questions. If I can use the optimist to sail around the world, I said no. You need a bigger boat. You need to have everything.
Yeah, some of the sailor, Black left, it was too much for him. It was not, it's boring and wet and cold and he didn't like it, but he came back. And they didn't speak a word of English, they didn't know about offshore sailing.
Well, I think the ocean racing now for me is still hard, but I think for the moment I'm 30% hate it, 70% love it, so I cannot give it away, put it away. You see what I mean? So if I put it away, I'm gonna miss it. But the ocean always gives you some surprise. You can never be learning on the land.
For me, it's compared with the last edition, I feel more confident and more experience compared with my first edition. And also, I know these guys very well, like Charles and Pascal, Kevin. These guys, they have been working for the last edition. We are more than teammates, like friends or family.
I think with Horace, Black and Wolf, we are fantastic guy to promote sailing in China.
Each stopover hosts an import race, and although the results of this racing don't count towards the overall leaderboard, the results of the import race series will be used as a tiebreaker should any teams be tied on points at the conclusion in The Hague. Nansha is the 5th race in the import series, led so far overall by today's home side, Dongfeng Race Team. Let's take a look back at the highlights of the import series so far. MAPFRE coming in on port, not looking like a good start from MAPFRE at all. 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. Festus, 11th out racing. What a super start from them.
The boat that has got the breeze is certainly MAPFRE. Is this a bad start for them, or actually is this going quite nicely?
A couple of boat lengths from the line. Pablo Arate helming the boat beautifully as they push the bow down. And there they go, take the win.
The winner of the MAPFRE In-Port Race is
And here we go, 3, 2, 1, and that is the gun. Start, looks all clear. Wow, how close is this? Amazing racing. Brunel continue to lead around the bottom mark. Under pressure though from the Spanish team MAPFRE. They look at the speed of MAPFRE. Maybe they're going to get around them. Rob Greenhouse looking very closely. Look at that, just easing a little bit of main sheet out. Oh, Aaron! Can they get to them? Brunel now have the puff as well. Brunel, win! Three, 2, 1, and that's the gun. A beautiful start from Di Cafari and Turn the Tide on plastic. Well, it's Festus 11th Hour Racing leading around the first mark of the Cape Town In-Port Race. It's going to be a duck from Festus 11th Hour Racing. A lead change.
On the A3, please. Lock that.
At the top, Dongfeng Race Team lead. And down towards the finish, the Dongfeng Race Team put on a masterclass of sailing here in Cape Town and take the win. Three, 2, 1, gun! And a super start from Scallywag and Dongfeng Race Team. At the top mark at the halfway stage of the HGC Hong Kong In-Port Race, it's neck and neck between Akzo Nobel and the Dongfeng Race Team. sailed. HGC import race taking the win. Akzo Nobel.
Team Akzo Nobel!
Part 2 of the Hong Kong import race takes the fleet around the island, with the points from yesterday's action and today's race combining to make up the score for the Hong Kong stopover. There's the gun, my word, unbelievable. MAPFRE, fantastic win. Dongfeng Race Team can take second place. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, third place. Dongfeng Race Team are tied on points with Spain's MAPFRE after 4 rounds, but lead on the tiebreak going into today by virtue of a win in the most recent event in Hong Kong. So MAPFRE are in second, with Team Brunel in third, 1 point ahead of Team Akzo Nobel. Vestas 11th Hour Racing, Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, and Turn the Tide on Plastic in 5th to 7th. The stars of the show here are undoubtedly the Chinese sailors of Wolf, Black and Horace. The media interest and fan following has been truly remarkable. We tagged along to see just how in demand they've become.
So they arrived in China, so now we are in Guangzhou, and it's our home country, our home team, and now the schedule is really busy for them because all the Dongfeng family is there to welcome them, and we have a lot to do. First conference, we are on stage with Charles and Horace. Okay? 3:30, so we are in the middle of the welcome ceremony. And Charles, Black and Horace go to the press conference. Bruno and Wolf do a Q&A after the press conference. 6:30, this is the welcome party. Woo! Wolf? Oui, so far so good. This is the last appointment of the day. This is the skipper press conference for the officials.
You have to realize that when I met them 3 years ago, it was like, if you compare to mountains, like you find some guy, you say, have you ever been in mountain? Oh yes, maybe 1 time or 2 I went skiing. Okay, let's go to climb the Everest next week. That's what they have done. They have no offshore experience, and 6 months before the race and 6 months after they were on the start of the toughest race in the world.
Okay, press conference done. Good job. Now we're going to rest a bit, and tomorrow it's a long day again.
The opening ceremony was full of colour and enthusiasm, the city of Guangzhou taking this race to its heart. A long history of maritime heritage on the Pearl River and its centre as a maritime port, the local Chinese heroes of Black, Horace and Wolf were a big draw for all the fans. On top of the leaderboard for the Import Race Series, a local team, Dongfeng. They are out to defend their lead with a goal to extend their points margin over MAPFRE, and having made a particular point of keeping the pressure on the Spanish team whenever they go racing. I'm down on the dock just before the Dongfeng Import Race, joined here by Roscoe Monson, sometime navigator and performance analyst for Team Akzo Nobel. One of the features we've seen in these import races, particularly in Hong Kong, is how Dongfeng and MAPFRE seem to be going at each other every time they meet.
This is important for these guys now. They're racing, they're at the top of the table, they've got the points. They realise now the other boats are capable of taking some points off them as it goes. So it's really important for them to stick together and also, to beat each other, but mentally it's very important for the team, the whole team, to get one over on the other guys. So it's going to be an interesting day.
Well, Dongfeng leading by function of them winning in Hong Kong. And tell us about some of the challenges out on the water. We're here on the Pearl River by the Nanchao Marina. Difficult.
Great venue, but one of the most difficult import venues we've seen, not only from a geographical point of view. We've got the river, we've got the tides, we've got the river current, We're going to see breeze between sort of 8 and 18 knots of breeze, maybe 50 to 60 degree wind shifts in places. So it's going to be really tricky for the navigators and the crew. There's going to be a lot going on, a lot to think about.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for Roscoe Monson from Team Akzo Nobel. It's going to be a great day of racing. Okay, down on the water, brought to you by Vestas Wind. We've got a partially cloudy sky with a northerly breeze, forecasted for around 12 to 15. Very flat, a slight ebb tide, but we're actually seeing a little less breeze than that right now. Down to the racecourse, we're in China, the beautiful city of Guangzhou, just over the Human Bridge to the north, and we've got a 4-lap racecourse. The boats will beat up to the first gate. They can go around either of those 2 marks from inside to outside. 4 laps around, about 0.7 of a mile per lap, so plenty of action to look forward to. Welcome to the Dongfeng In-Port Race. This is Nanshao Marina in Guangzhou. Here we are with 1 minute and 45 seconds to go. So the news is that the breeze has been shifting about 50 degrees on the racecourse from due north to 050, all the way in the right-hand side. So we expect the teams to be fighting for the right-hand side, the race committee boat end. But if the breeze goes any further left, you'd want to be just to the left of the bunch. I'm joined here in the commentary booth by Roscoe Monson, a sometime navigator and performance analyst for Team Akzo Nobel. Give us your thoughts about this race.
This is going to be a tricky day. The start is everything, really. Very short race course, 0.7 nautical miles long. We've got a current, tidal current, and also the current from the river. And obviously a lot of land effect. Like Andy's just said, we've had 0 to 50 degree wind shifts already seen on the racetrack, and around about 8 to 15 knots of breeze, so quite gusty. It's going to be very tricky.
Okay, well, Dongfeng Race Team are looking towards the left-hand side. We've got Akzo Nobel. We've got 45 seconds to the start, and it's Turn the Tide on Plastic on the right-hand side, as are Team Brunel. Down by the pin, Dongfeng Race Team in the middle, rather squeezed in between Akzo Nobel and Sun Hun Kai Scallywag. A close incident between Sun Hun Kai and MAPFRE with 28 seconds to go. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag just look a little early for the line. They're going to have to slow down. In fact, I think they might go for attack here just to close the gap on Turn the Tide on Plastic, and they're going to have to tack back onto starboard around 8 to 10 knots of breeze with 10 seconds to go. David Witt on Sun Hun Kai Scallywag did a nice job of getting away from that, but they're still a little bit slow. They've got to make sure they're not over the line. Brunel at the right-hand side of the line, looking very nice, coming down with speed. Dongfeng Race Team, there's the gun. Dongfeng Race Team very close to the pin end of the line, but they just wiggled at the end. I think they're clear. Brunel got a great start in the middle, but Akzo Nobel sucking bad wind. Recall for Dongfeng and Scallywag. Okay, they both came down at the start and are now clear. So it was an instant recall at the start, but Dongfeng may have to go back here. Let's go down to Jordan for an update.
Yeah, Andy, it's a pretty exciting start actually. Dongfeng Race Team were on the pin end and very much stuck very early on for the start, and over early as you saw. We saw Scallywag also had to duck back, and also Brunel and Turn the Tide tacked quite quickly, but Brunel also ducking the line. The only one that got a clean start with any speed was MAPFRE. They've headed to the port side. They're just about to roll on to port tack now and won't be too far from laying into the mark. Turn the Tide on Plastic is just tacking under them. They're about a half a boat length back, but about 3 boat lengths to leeward of them at the moment. We've got 3 boats going across to the right. Brunel, Akzo Nobel and Scallywag. It looks to me very much like Dongfeng has hooked the pin as they tried to restart. They were very close to the mark, and I just watched their stern touch it, and it looks to me like a rudder may have actually hooked that mark. So it is quite a spectacular start for everyone. Brunel, right on the right-hand side near the island, has tacked onto a nice starboard hand lift. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag has done exactly the same. And Akzo Nobel, who is forward of both boats and in the middle of them has just tacked as well. So 3 starboard tackers coming out of the right-hand side. Dongfeng is still hooked and not moving. MAPFRE is good, pressure and high on port. Turn the tide just underneath them. A little slow without pressure yet in their sail, still hunting speed.
Great summary, thanks Jordan. Well, we can confirm that Dongfeng Race Team have hooked the pin end of the mark. They were struggling, as you said, with being over early, and they managed to hook their keel or rudder around the pin end of the starting mark, and that is bad news. For those of you who don't sail, it is not a good idea to hook your keel around one of those marks. They're right now doing half a knot, so they're having to back the boat down and get the pin end marker off their keel, and that is not good at all for them. Not a great start for Dongfeng in the Dongfeng In-Port Race. Not what they wanted at all. MAPFRE doing a great job of extending from the left-hand side. They got the best of it, but Roscoe Monson, we were talking about the rivalry between MAPFRE and Dongfeng. MAPFRE clearly get it right here.
Yeah, definitely. MAPFRE did a great job off that start, put Dongfeng under pressure. And as we've seen with a lot of these starts, it's not about what happens on the start, it's what happens maybe 30 seconds or a minute after the start. And you can see now already Team Axo and Team Brunel doing pretty well on the right-hand side of the race course. And as as we've talked about, there's some massive shifts out there. So it's going to be a big game of snakes and ladders as we go up this course.
Well, that right-hand shift that has come in halfway up the first windward mark is increasing, and that's why MAPFRE, coming back into the middle of the course, had to tack back onto starboard, and as you say, Team Axo Nobel and Team Brunel on the right-hand side. If that right-hand shift comes in anymore, they are going to be in a really good spot. We've only got MAPFRE 30 metres ahead or so. Any sort of right-hand shift, and Team Axo Nobel and Team Brunel are going to get back in. The one good news for MAPFRE is that they've got a decent bit of breeze, so they're going pretty quick, 10.5 knots or so. And I was very impressed with Team Axo Nobel, how they were able to come out of bad wind at the start, down by the pin end. They tacked, and they got clear air off the starting line, and they're now right back in the hunt. At the back of the fleet, it's Turn the Tide on Plastic and Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, but way behind them, Dongfeng Race Team, still trying to extricate themselves from the pin end of the starting mark. Ouch, that is bad news. Well, Turn the Tide on Plastic now giving out for a dig to the right-hand side again. MAPFRE have now tacked onto port, so we're going to... MAPFRE just crossing Sun Hun Kai Scallywag. I'm not sure they're going to cross your team, Roscoe, of Team Axo Nobel.
This is going to be close. It's going to be interesting. The boat's starting to set themselves up for the weather mark now. Looks like we're in a left-hand shift. And obviously MAPFRE now lifting up to the mark with good speed, really good speed.
Oh, MAPFRE have just squeezed in front of Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, and I think just about a boat length ahead of Team Axo Nobel. Let's go down to Jordan. Give us the latest. MAPFRE look good.
Yeah, absolutely. They did a very smart manoeuvre when the other boats were coming across on starboard tack. They elected to tack in front and maintain their lead, and they gained from that. Axo Nobel went into high mode on Brunel and squeezed them off, so it used its advantage, climbed up onto their line and has squeezed them off, and they're coming back towards each other now. It looks like a near cross, but Axo Nobel looks to cross clear in front, and Sun Hun Kai Scallywag is right on their tail. It's interesting here because Axo Nobel could be unable to tack, so they're going to have to try and climb up onto that right-hand mark at the gate. MAPFRE have already come around and they've just set their A3, and they're going to have a nice gap. Scallywag have ducked to let Axo Nobel tack, so they're electing to go to the port hand mark on the gate, which is the one I would choose as well.
Okay, leading around the top mark in the Dongfeng In-Port Race, it's MAPFRE. Just behind MAPFRE, a very close battle between Team Axo Nobel, Team Brunel, and Sun Hun Kai Scallywag are trying to squeeze themselves in at the top mark. They can't quite do it. Team Axo Nobel called no room inside there. And Team Axo Nobel around in second. Good sailing. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag ducked tight underneath Team Axo Nobel, and now they are going to round the windward mark in third. In fourth place, it's Team Brunel. In fifth, Turn the Tide on Plastic. In sixth, Dongfeng Race Team still trying to get themselves out from hooking the pin end of the starting mark. Jordan, talk us through the windward mark rounding.
Yeah, it was quite exciting. That interaction between Sun Hunkai Scallywag and Axel Nobel was interesting. It was a gutsy move by Axel Nobel to go across and in front of them. There was no protest that I could see. I'm willing to be wrong on that one. What I will say though, they're in quite light wind at the moment. There is pressure probably a minute or two away from them, but I would like to be at the moment heading off on starboard.
Okay, thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Jordan. He just popped out there for a moment. And MAPFRE currently lead. And Dongfeng Race Team have now got themselves untangled and are doing 9.5 knots upwind. They're in the middle of the race course, but they are a long, long way behind, 800 meters or so. Dongfeng Race Team have got to pull out some special Chinese magic out of this race to catch up. Team Axo Nobel in second. Roscoe.
Yeah, the guys, obviously there's pressure out on that left-hand side of the race course. Everyone's heading out that way. The boats behind look like they're bringing a little bit more pressure down with them, sailing a bit deeper and also looking to protect that the jibe that's coming up. Obviously there's a lot of current right to left, as you see on the picture. Yeah, obviously the MAPFRE with a good extension out in front, just about to jibe very shortly.
Right, so they're jibing here. Presumably they're worried about the depth of water around there, and they're deciding they're pretty close to the downwind ley line. 0.7 miles, short upwind and downwind legs here, and Axo Nobel now got a very nice puff of breeze, 10.5 knots, closely followed by Sun Hunkai Scallywag. MAPFRE jibe onto port, headed for the first leeward mark gate. So your team, Axo Nobel, have had a good run. They won the Hong Kong In-Port Race. Seems like the team's on the up. They're pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these import races, they're so short. They're the work rate of the guys, the tacking and the jibing. Ultimately, the goal is to come up with a plan and stick to it. If you can force other people to break from their plan, that's where you get an advantage. And I mean, the heart rate of the guys right now is going to be right up at 180 beats a minute. It's a lot of grinding.
And we see some of the girls on board as well. Their heart rate's presumably right up there. We see Martine Grail doing a lot of grinding on the main sheet pedestal. Is that?
Yep, she does the main with Chris Nicholson. Yeah, she's one tough cookie, that's for sure.
And how does the communication on board work? The tactician, the navigator, the helmsman. What does Martine add to that mix?
So Martine, she works a lot on the breeze, calling the breeze outside of the boat. Chris Nicholson is calling the boat-on-boat tactics. Jules does a lot of the strategy. And then ultimately Nikolai Shahested on the helm. He sort of has the final call, but he's fed a lot of information from the guys. So it's quite a large brains trust on board making the decisions.
But Martine Grail, a gold medal winner, she's a pretty good person to have on board calling that breeze. And today, particularly where we can see puffy, patchy breeze and shifts on the racecourse, she'll be giving a lot of input.
This is tricky like it sailing back for her on Rio inside the harbour, very shifty, a lot of current. She's very good in these conditions.
Excellent. Okay, MAPFRE leading, coming in towards the bottom mark, followed by Team Axo Nobel, and then Sun Hunkai Scallywag. Team Brunel and Sun Hunkai Scallywag, pretty close between the two of them. Then Turn the Tide on Plastic, Dongfeng Race Team, coming up towards that first windward mark after being somewhat delayed. So defending their position and keeping in first place, MAPFRE lead around the first leeward gate. Holding off Sun Hunkai Scallywag, Team Axo Nobel sailed a very nice first upwind leg, have defended on the downwind. They're in second. Left-hand side looks favoured. That's what MAPFRE are going for. They like either a little less current or perhaps a slightly more breeze on the left-hand side. I think Team Axo Nobel are going to follow them around. Probably pretty happy with the second place in this import race here. They just want to make sure that they put MAPFRE under a bit of pressure, but don't risk too much as their other teams follow them. Let's go down on the water. Jordan, tell us, Sun Hunkai Scallywag and Team Brunel coming together at this bottom mark.
Absolutely, it's a big close-up. So there's been a couple of different tactics coming downwind. Axel Nobel tried to heat it up and carry a little bit more boat speed, looking for more apparent wind. Brunel and MAPFRE soaked a little lower, and Brunel have made quite a gain here, and they've come and managed to get inside Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, and it looks to me very much like Brunel is going to go around in third place behind Axel Nobel, and Scallywag will be right on their transom. They've all looked to come on that same left-hand mark as we look upwind. Turn the tide on Plastic, looks like she's going to go into the opposite side and separate from the fleet. MAPFRE has just tacked across and looks to be heading to the right in a very nice line of pressure that is sitting over there on the right-hand side. And just for interest's sake, Dongfeng has just tried something completely different and is trailing along and gone the complete opposite side to where everyone did. And I don't think it's going to pay out for them at the moment. So MAPFRE is extending away. We're going to have a fantastic battle in second, third and fourth. Scallywag has elected to tack off and go to that pressure that we can see to the right. Axel Nobel and Brunel continuing on. At the moment, I would suggest that Axel Nobel and Brunel look to be pretty good, although MAPFRE is just starting to knock now on port tack. They're across to the centre, this right of the course. Centre, maybe right slightly of the course, about 10%, and I suspect that they're going to tack on a hard right-hander in a minute.
Well, interestingly, Team Brunel caught up quite a lot of distance on that downwind. They went a little further to the ley line. Interestingly, no navigator Andrew Cape on board. They've decided to sail with only 7 people on board, including Sally Barkow, and that is perhaps given them a good bit of less weight on board, perhaps. MAPFRE on port, just deciding to tack now to go back into the centre of the race course. And there's a very tight battle between Team Axel Nobel, Team Brunel, Sun Hun Kai Scallywag. Only a few boat lengths behind, Turn the Tide on Plastic, and about 700 metres behind Dongfeng Race Team. Jordan, how does the breeze look from where you are? Is there one side looking advantaged, or is it play it as you see it?
No, Andy, it looks to me like that pressure line that I saw coming down has hit through the course. It's coming down the centre and the right-hand side of the course at the moment. Brunel and Axel Nobel benefiting beautifully from it. MAPFRE have been sailing on starboard and have had a lot of pressure and stepped away from the fleet. They're about to step out of that pressure line slightly, but we had the split before, as I said, with Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, I have to say that Brunel and Axel Nobel, to my eyes here on the water, look to have picked up 2 to 3 boat lengths on the way back, and Brunel is certainly flying along at the moment. They may even be in second. They're definitely nose forward on Axel Nobel, definitely nose forward. They're 2 boat lengths to leeward, nose forward about 1 to 1.5 boat lengths. If they tack now, they would have given room and opportunity to clear, and they would be on starboard tack and would be able to call Axel, in my view. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag is probably 8 to 12 boat lengths further to leeward, sort of nose-to-nose alignment with Brunel.
Okay, well, that is a very interesting battle, because in the overall in-port race scores, Team Brunel have 17 and Team Axel Nobel have 16. So we're seeing that battle for third place overall in the in-port race series play out very clearly here on the race course, here for the Dongfeng In-Port Race. Team Brunel, as you said, have got the bit between their teeth, and they're going very nicely on port. I suspect that they may go all the way to ley line before they tack back at Team Axel Nobel, but there's no question it's going to be close when the two of them come together. It's really about how long it takes, how much distance you lose through the tack, and Roscoe's our performance analyst, so tell us, how much distance do you lose?
Well, inshore on the racetrack, from what we've seen, it's around about 35-second loss when you do a tack. And obviously on these really short courses that can be very costly, and that's also in real world, that's a perfect tack. It doesn't always work like that in these light airs, especially with the current and the shifty conditions. So the guys are just trying to minimize the tacks that they do, and that makes the strategy really hard up the racetrack, trying to pick the breeze but also, while it's shifting, stay ahead of the game.
Okay, so doing 35 seconds at 10 knots. How many boat lengths is that? You're the expert here.
It's about 6 or 7 boat lengths,
wow.
Probably. Yeah,
that's a lot. So Team Brunel have got it. Here they go for the tack. Team Brunel, they're sort of towards the ley line for the top mark. And Team Akzo Nobel decide that they're not going to get around them, so they tack as well just to leeward. This could work out very interesting. And on the water, Jordan Spencer, our expert, is going to tell us, how does that battle look between those two?
Yeah, there's some really fantastic tactics going on the water here. MAPFRE are just about to round with a good, probably 8 boat length lead. Brunel were definitely in the lead, but what we've gone is they've probably overstood the lay into that port hand side of the gate. Akzo Nobel coming in on high groove and have the inside position, look like they'll be overlapped. Brunel starting to crack sheet and accelerate at the moment. It does look, oh, this is going to be close. We're going to have a really close call on this mark. What will happen is that Brunel will come in with speed, a lot more speed. Akzo Nobel.
Okay. Yeah, we got it. We can see MAPFRE leading around the second windward mark with a very handy lead of around 150 meters. And then the battle is on big time between Team Brunel and Team Akzo Nobel, as Akzo Nobel trying to squeeze up to the mark. And I think they're going to get rolled over by Team Brunel. So second around the windward mark is Team Brunel, and third, Team Akzo Nobel. So Team Brunel really on a charge. They've picked up 2 places on the last lap here on the Pearl River off the enormous city of Guangzhou and the Nanshao Marina where the race village is based. We've had all sorts of cultural activity today before the import race. But the word is Team Brunel are on the charge. They're on the up and up, and they come round in second. Just behind them, only by a couple of boat lengths, Akzo Nobel. And then around 10 boat lengths further on is Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, who come around the windward mark in 4th. Turn the Tide on Plastic in 5th, and Dongfeng Race Team trying to hustle and catch up in 6th place. So again, the teams like going inshore towards the Nanshao industrial area and just behind the residential district. Sail almost to ley line, and this is all about minimizing those tacks and jibes, Roscoe.
This is very costly. Also, just the energy of the guys on board, the grinding they have to do, furling those big sails, doing the jibe, winding the sheet on at the other side. It's a good probably minute grinding non-stop for the guys.
So in 10 to 12 knots of breeze, as we have right now, maybe a little more. Akzo Nobel have got a nice puff on them right now. What does a jibe, how long does a jibe take off? How costly is a jibe?
Not as much. Jibe's around about 25 seconds, 20 seconds, but it's really the physical exertion of the guys, and also it's an extra move. You're trying to minimize that maneuver for the bottom mark, save the energy for the bottom mark to make a good rounding at the bottom.
Team Brunel on 17 points overall, Team Akzo Nobel on 16. So this really is the battle. It looks like your boys and girls have done nicely there.
This is going to be very interesting because obviously Team Brunel with 7 people, it makes all the maneuvers a lot harder. Team Akzo Nobel with a bit more weight but more horsepower on the pump. So Team Akzo Nobel are going to be trying to push Team Brunel into a tough maneuver at the bottom mark to try and make mistakes. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay, at the leeward mark, it's Team MAPFRE who continue to lead the Dongfeng In-Port Race after 2 laps. Yeah, very interesting, Roscoe, that there's a big trade-off. There's no silver bullet. There's nothing for free in this world, right?
Not at all. Yeah, those guys on Team Brunel are going to be working really hard, 2 men down, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got Sally Barco on board, Team Brunel, Bauer Becking, Carlo Huisman, Louis Balcan, Peter Burling, Carl Langford, Alberto Bolzan, and Sally Barcow. Sally, who used to be sitting here next to me in the commentary booth, off she is trying to get them up to the front of this fleet and doing a very nice job. Here we go, close incident about to occur. Team Brunel and Team Akzo Nobel neck and neck coming into this bottom mark in 2nd and 3rd. Okay, let's go down to Jordan. Talk us through this leeward mark rounding.
Yeah, good to hear from you guys. Like it is quite interesting. It came out very, very equal for our 2nd and 3rd boats. They've elected to go to different marks. So AXA Nobel has gone to the right. AXA Nobel has gone to the right-hand mark at the bottom, and Brunel to the left, but Brunel rolled onto port to match them. MAPFRE have had an absolutely shocking furl of their A3. There is real potential for trouble here at the top mark. So that is something to keep our eyes on. They're trying to fix it as we speak, but there is a really bad wrap. At the moment it's holding. They're going to get it out clean at the moment, but if it starts shaking, they could be in real trouble. AXA Nobel, so therefore is leading away on port. Brunel is coming across to cover. It is going to be very close with second and third. Scallywag is elected to come up the port-hand side heading upwind as well.
Oh, great battle between second and third, Team AXA Nobel and Team Brunel. And, well, that is amazing that MAPFRE had such a bad furl on their A3. They're trying to shake it out. They're trying to fix the problem. And that looks difficult. We've talked about that before. Why is it such a problem, Roscoe, if you have a bad furl on the A3?
If you have a bad furl at the bottom mar, it's very easy when the guys start winding it in. If you can't keep enough sheet tension on it, it gets a bad furl. And then when you start going back upwind, the sail can potentially unfurl. And you can't get that furl back into it. So it's really very slow to have that unfurled upwind.
Well, Jordan's going to keep us informed if the furl gets any worse on MAPFRE, and we will keep you informed on where everyone is around the racecourse. It's a tough day for Dongfeng Race Team, especially in front of their home fans, and they've got some very famous Chinese sailors on board, and that will hurt some of them for sure on when they come in. It's been bedlam on the shore with selfies and all sorts. A real chance for AXA Nobel to squeeze ahead of Team Brunel here, perhaps, Jordan.
There is a real chance, but if this gust holds, Brunel are going to lay in. If it goes, they're going to just fall shy of the laying that mark. So it is a real interesting battle. I'm going to say pretty confidently AXA Nobel are going to lay in. At the moment, it looks like Brunel are going to underlay slightly. So it is going to be very close. It's a very good tactical race. It's quite exciting to watch. One thing I will say, MAPFRE have managed that A3 really, really well. It has not shaked once. They've kept their boat very calm and still. So I'm fairly confident they're going to get that bad furl out and have no problems. They're very much approaching laying in on that, and they're going to follow the same course as they've done the last two legs. They've got a lovely gap, and they're sailing very conservatively and very smart at the moment.
Excellent. Thanks for the updates, Jordan. The fleet has compressed a bit in the front three. Tracker, the virtual eye, is only giving us a couple of 100 meters between the boats right now. The third windward mark leading. MAPFRE sailing very conservatively, very nicely, maintaining their lead in this Dongfeng In-Port Race. Behind them, the battle between Team Brunel and Team AXA Nobel is extremely close, and we wait to see how they go around this top mark.
Yeah, Andy, if you've got me, mate, I'm going to say this is going to be right nose to nose. So we've got the exact opposite of the last rounding. AXA Nobel coming in with speed and coming forward on Brunel. Brunel are squeezing to lay this top mark. They're actually going to have to shoot the top mark. They are allowed to luff in this situation. AXA Nobel nose to nose as they go around the mark. I think a pass is going to be made. This is going to be very interesting. AXA Nobel with twice the speed. Brunel with inside position. It'd be great to watch. Absolutely exciting.
Really close between Team Brunel as they squeeze up towards the top mark. Team AXA Nobel are to windward, so they have to keep clear, but they've got slightly better speed, and as Team Brunel squeeze up into the wind, Team AXA Nobel are able to keep a little bit more speed as they roll around the front of their bow. And another lead change. AXA Nobel take it back from Team Brunel, and Brunel have to be careful they don't do the same thing as the Dongfeng Race Team, hook the mark and then stop and slow down. But it looks like they're okay. They're safe, but Team AXA Nobel take second place, followed by Team Brunel in third, at the third windward mark in the Dongfeng In-Port Race. That's allowed MAPFRE to extend a little bit. Turn the tide on plastic are being put under a little bit of pressure by Dongfeng Race Team, who are trying to get back into this race. Roscoe, what do you say?
Well, we saw obviously Team Exo Noble take second place again from Team Brunel. That was all staged from that bottom mark. They put them under pressure. Brunel had to do a furl, a jibe, and attack all in one maneuver, which 2 men short is a lot of hard work. I can guarantee the heart rates were up at 180 beats a minute. And then that also stemmed from a lot of positioning, which allowed Team Exo Noble to gain speed out of the bottom mark, which set them up for the take once they got up to the windward mark. So that again, just showing you how putting the other team under pressure, that's how you make other people make mistakes and get places.
Fascinating. It's all about the chess game. You've got to be thinking 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. And you talked about it right when they were coming down to the previous leeward mark about Exo Nobel trying to put Team Brunel under a bit of pressure there, and they did it. And now Team Brunel are going to try and do the same thing against Team Exo Nobel. Yeah, MAPFRE doing a very nice job of leading, and this is going to put a bit of pressure under Dongfeng Race Team for the overall In-Port Race Series. It'll put 5 points in between them or so, 4 points in between them, because, well, we'll see how this all plays out. But the real story for me is Team Brunel and Team Exo Nobel. Brunel on 17, Exo Nobel on 16, and if Exo Nobel can get a point on them, they will end up being equal on points in 3rd position overall. So now it's close out in that corner. Jordan, tell us, Team Brunel and Team Exo Nobel both did a simultaneous jibe on that ley line. Tell us what you see.
Oh mate, it's fantastic watching. It really is. It's so exciting. It's like a match racing event going on inside a fleet race. Brunel came across on starboard, soaked low, looking to try and get underneath, use their lighter weight. Simultaneous jibe with Exo Nobel, and to me they look like they've come out it clean with pressure. I'm pretty comfortable here that Brunel is going to pass Exo Nobel. They're going to move forward on Exo Nobel and then just lead by a boat length. If I was on Brunel, I'd be pretty happy with my positioning in that way, because there's no way that Exo Nobel can get up and make any cover, and there's big pressure about to come through the centre of the course, so they'll be able to reach down straight to that mark. They have no pressure of having to do another jibe. They're going to be able to carry a ton of pressure straight into that mark, so it's a nice lead taken and locked in. Very smart tactical sailing on that boat. Clearly, 2 of boats with some of the best dinghy sailors in the world throwing tactics at each other. It is absolutely brilliant to watch.
Thanks very much for the update, Jordan. Around the final leeward mark before the last lap towards the finish, Team MAPFRE lead with a healthy 250 metres, but the battle continues as Team Brunel squeeze back ahead of Team Exo Nobel, who went slightly beyond the ley line, but only a boat length between the 2 of them. Are we going to see another lead change on this final lap? Team Brunel catch up in 2nd. Exo Nobel half a boat length behind in 3rd spot. They're going to split. It looks like there's going to be another split between the gates. I think this might be good for Team Brunel. Roscoe.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. There's, as we've said, Team Brunel 2 people down. And again, that's a big maneuver to do the furl, to do the mark rounding, and back on the breeze. It's a lot of work for those guys. We saw the right-hand side pay on the last beat for Team Exo Nobel. MAPFRE obviously still like the left-hand side of the race course, which we think there's a little bit more pressure on. But we're just going to have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, they've another split at the leeward marks here. And Exo Nobel going around the right mark, Team Brunel going around the left-hand mark. MAPFRE now tacked at the front of the fleet back into the middle of the race course, and that's just protecting themselves against everybody else and staying between the man and the mark. Jordan, tell us what's going on.
Okay, so we're seeing our first case of separation here between Axel Nobel and Brunel. It looks very much to me like there's left-hand pressure about to come down this course. Axel Nobel have gone the starboard hand side of the gate and are heading off on port and already in new pressure. Brunel went out on starboard and they've just gone into a big knock with no pressure, and they've rolled into that to tack straight away, and they're quite high. But Axel Nobel with far more pressure at the moment and quite high. At the moment, Axel Nobel is making gains. We saw the same thing happen to Sun Hun Kai Scallywag on the run down. They started to lift on port jibe, and that was the first sign of a big wind change coming through. So we hadn't seen, as you said before, Andy, we hadn't seen much movement in the wind, just a little bit of up and down pressure. This is probably a good 15-20 degree shift at the moment. It is very much left-hand shift at the moment with pressure, which is the first time we've seen one of those come through. The tide has changed, of course, now starting to flood out. So it is a very interesting manoeuvre at the moment, and Dongfeng is starting to really close down on turn the tide on plastic. Brunel now is starting to gain pressure and climb up. They're climbing on the same line as MAPFRE, and they're in good pressure, but AXO are holding their pressure at the moment. This is going to be really, really interesting. It could be nose to nose again at the top mark, and don't we want to see that?
Well, great. A left-hand shift, but less pressure where Team Brunel tacked. Axo Nobel in better pressure on the right-hand side, but the shift has slightly gone against them. The question is the shift going to go back to the right-hand side? It looks like MAPFRE slightly bowed down, so that might bode well for Team Axo Nobel, but Team Brunel have got a nice puff of left-hand pressure. That'll give them something to get back into this race. I think you might be right, Jordan. I think in the end, that left-hand side may have come good for Team Brunel. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, I think we will see how that plays out. It is very interesting. They do seem to have dropped down a little bit on pressure at the moment. MAPFRE just starting to head. Looks like they're just close to that ley line into the gate for the last time. And Axo Nobel starting to knock down slightly and lose pressure at the moment. So this could be advantage Brunel. It has been advantage Axo Nobel for the last 500 metres. And at the moment could be slightly advantage Brunel, but it's going to be interesting. Looking forward to seeing it unfold.
Jordan, just give us a brief update on the sail calls, both upwind and downwind. Are all the boats using the same sails, and which are they?
Yeah, okay. So the setups at the moment, just for everyone, is full main J with the J1s. They're all set up with J1s, and then all A3s for downwind. Everyone is identical across the course. As we speak, Brunel has just gained a massive left-hand lift. Left hand with pressure, and Axo Nobel coming back with a knock. It is going to be Brunel in second place, clearly and comfortably now. That is a huge shift. Very unusual. You wouldn't expect that given all the way the shifts have gone in the lead up to it, but it is a classic gradient sort of breeze where it's shift left, then right, then left, then right. So looks to me like Brunel is going to gain on that at the moment, but we will still see. There's still plenty of runway for it to work out. But everyone using the J1s and then A3s with full main. Very comfortable day. It's a good tactical day sailing, a very enjoyable way to spend for these crews out here on the water in Guangzhou.
Thanks very much, Jordan. It sounds like it's a bit like being lost in London, left and right and all over the show. Where do we go next? But Team Brunel have just picked it up. They've just got the last of that left-hand shift, and they're going to cross in front Team Axo Nobel. So, the final windward mark. Team MAPFRE go around ahead. They've kept the lead right from the start, defended hard and extended when the opportunities have come. In second place, it's Team Brunel, who've had a titanic tussle with Team Axo Nobel, the two of them trading places at least 4 times. Team Brunel tacking on top of Team Axo Nobel. It's a Dutch battle. Team Brunel in second, Team Axo Nobel in third. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag in fourth. Turn the tide on plastic, just holding off Dongfeng Race Team. Roscoe, battle royale right there between the two Dutch teams.
It is. I mean, it's not just the Volvo Ocean Race, it's also the race for the first Dutch team home. You know, those two boats, there's a lot of pride at stake to get to The Hague first out of those two. So And Bauer's been doing this done enough laps now to know what it means to get home in that position. So, yeah, they're working hard. Big call for them to sail short today, but sailing really well in the light pressure.
Yeah, and the Dutch have a long history in the Volvo Ocean Race. The nation to win the race most times, 4 times. They won editions 2 and 3 with Connie van Rieschouten on Flyer and Flyer 2. An interesting story, when they were in the Southern Ocean, Connie van Rieschouten had a heart attack, and there was a doctor, a cardiac specialist on the boat behind them. I think it was Saramco, and they said, well, shall we wait for them and we'll get you to see the doctor? And Connie said, no way, we're going to carry on. And he took a couple of aspirin and went down below for a couple of days, and they ended up winning that leg into Auckland, and they ended up winning that race as well, that Volvo Ocean Race editions 2 and 3 on Flyer and Flyer 2. The Dutch got a long history in the Volvo Ocean Race, and a very successful one also. ABN AMRO as well, winners with Mike Sanderson as skipper. So Team Brunel go around the left-hand mark. Team Axo Nobel roll the dice a little bit here. I guess they can take some more risk by going around the other windward mark, splitting here at the gate. Dongfeng Race Team had a little protest against Turn the Tide on Plastic at the bottom mark. It was a green flag. Still battling for every inch, the Chinese team. Jordan, give us an update.
Andy, it's pretty good summary from you there, mate. I was just going to say, you spotted exactly all the things that are going on. So MAPFRE are sailing beautifully at the moment, very conservative, and they're about to jibe onto port and head into the finish. Brunel came through and made that gain at the top mark, and Axo Nobel did the only option that they could, was jibe away and set up for a bit of separation. The interesting and it looks very much like they are running slightly low. They're both on starboard jibe now. If I look down to Axo, they're purposely running on a slightly lower groove. Brunel starting to come down to match their line as I speak. Separation of probably a good 400 metres between the two of them. Dongfeng is starting to close up on Turn the Tide on Plastic. It is just starting to shift left quite markedly, so I would suggest that Brunel are going to be comfortably across in second. MAPFRE though, they look very, very comfortable on the boat. It's been a very peaceful, quiet boat through the whole race. We've been alongside them quite a bit on my boat, so been watching them quite closely, and they're very much even furling up early to get everything put away. They're feeling very comfortable heading into this finish line. Another successful event, and MAPFRE proving to be a very dominant boat. So the interest, of course, is this lay-in with Brunel and Axo Nobel. Axo Nobel is riding straight in on the mark. Any pressure they'll come through the middle with. At the moment, Brunel looks like it's still well enough in front to get across, but they're going to have to make another jibe. Axo Nobel will not have to make another jibe.
Okay, well, MAPFRE coming down towards the finishing line after a cool, calm and collected race here for the Dongfeng In-Port Race in Guangzhou. MAPFRE win. By the function of winning here, they have taken over the Import Race Series. It's a question of whether they do it by 4 or 5 points as they, Dongfeng Race Team, try to hunt down Turn the Tide on Plastic. Team Brunel and Team Axo Nobel have had a great battle, very entertaining for us this afternoon here in China, as we've watched the two of them trade places. And maybe it's not all over yet, because Team Axo Nobel got a decent bit of breeze and Team Brunel now on port, the two of them coming together. We're going to keep watching this. Jordan, just give us a quick update. How does it look from your eye?
Oh, look, it looks tough at the moment. Brunel running out of pressure, running out of speed, but they're going to shoot into the line. They don't have to do any more jibes, and I think that they're just going to get it by a few boat lengths, is my gut feel at the moment. They're going to dip the line right on the pin end with Axo coming straight through the middle of the line, and I feel pretty confident that Brunel is going to hang on for second place. But I've got to say, Andy, it's been one of the great battles, you know, as a an international match racer yourself, and I'm a match racing coach. It's been a lot of fun just watching it here on the water, the way they've interacted and raced. It has been really exciting to watch.
Well, it's double Dutch as Team Brunel finish in second and Team Akzo Nobel close behind finish in third place. A great battle for us here on the Pearl River, so called because of the shells colour pearl all across the bottom of the riverbed. Team Brunel second, Team Akzo Nobel in third. So much down to the start as MAPFRE had an excellent start. They didn't take too much risk and go down towards the pin where Dongfeng Race Team managed to hook the pin, but they started clean. They sailed off to the left-hand side and they tacked back, and they managed the wind shifts all the way around the racecourse to take the win and take the overall lead. The Import Race Series Volvo Ocean Race. Team Akzo Nobel crossed the line in third spot. Great race, great battle. I'm sure they'll be okay with that. They won the previous Import race in Hong Kong. Now got third place here, the Dongfeng Import race in Guangzhou.
Well, we just finished the Import race here in Guangzhou in China, and of course very happy with the result after winning the race. Pretty tricky, very short course here in the river, and a lot of maneuvers, so we managed to do a very good start, and then always being in good phase with the shift and current, so just stretching with the fleet, so very happy with the result.
Well, MAPFRE's win establishes them with a 5-point lead as the Import Series leader over Dongfeng Race Team. MAPFRE now on 32 with Dongfeng Race Team now on 27. Team Brunel's second sees them maintain third overall in the series. Team Akzo Nobel fourth, now 2 points behind, but very close between those two. We'll enjoy following that battle over the next series of import races as the Volvo Ocean Race continues. It's been an immense week of activity here in Guangzhou, a great chance for China to connect with its ocean racing heroes and to see the 2017-18 fleet up close on their own waters. It's been a great fifth visit by Volvo Ocean Race to China, but for now it's Zaijian and we look forward to returning.